everyone, and welcome back to We're Watching Star Trek, the original series. As always, I'm Brandon, and here today with Paul.
Yo, what's up, people? This episode, let's get into it.
And Dan.
Giddy up.
Still sticking with that
really?
one.
Back to the giddy up?
Well, for today I am.
All right, I see you.
You'll come up with something eventually, maybe by like season 2. When we start season 2, you have to come in with something new.
All right, I got something in mind.
Boo, whatever it is. Boo.
You can't boo me before I say it.
Preemptive boo. It sucks already.
I feel attacked already.
So today we are going over season 1, episode 25, The Devil in the Dark. And for some reason I have it written as This Devil in the Dark, and that's not correct. The original air date for this was March 8th, 1967. And we open up with a shot of a planet, and so no Enterprise this time. And there appears to be some sort of refinery under the surface of this planet, like an underground mining operation or something. And there's a dude who's just kind of walking through a tunnel system, and he gets greeted by a group of other dudes. And one of them says, he makes mention that they're looking for a thing that has already killed 50 of their people, but nobody's actually gotten to look at it yet. So they talk about how their phasers are useless against this thing, and that they mention that the Enterprise is on its way, which I thought was a really weird thing. Is the Enterprise like a really well-known ship, do you guys think? Like, oh, the Enterprise is coming, we're saved.
Probably. I'm assuming.
Isn't it like their number one ship in the fleet?
Yeah, I think it's like their flagship, isn't it?
I believe so.
I'm assuming, so I assume it's the elite of the elite, so
Yeah.
I think Enterprise is coming would be a real thing.
Or Kirk's reputation just supersedes his legend.
Well, in that case, he's not going to get there very quickly because none of them are women. So it's just a cave full of dudes.
He's like, I'm not going to a sausage fest really fast.
I'm going to take my time and go into this one.
Warp 1.
But travel through normal speed. We'll get there in like 26 years. So the group leaves this guy, just this one dude leaves him behind. They're like, hey, watch our back while we go and go over here and look for stuff. And so he's like, cool. And they walk away, and then he hears this scraping sound that sounds like rocks scraping on other rocks. And then he suddenly gets attacked by something, and the other people hear him scream, so they rush to see what happened, but they're too late. And one of the guys notes that the guy they left behind had been burned to a crisp. So then we get the show opening. So we get a captain's log from Kirk that explains that they've received a distress call from a Pergium production station, which Pergium is apparently some kind of mineral or something. And they're going to, I don't remember if they pronounced it Janus or Janus 6? Janus 6, I think.
I'm still curious why they do this number thing.
Oh, because that means that there are at least 6. So, like, I think the Janus is like the system, and the 6 would be the 6th planet from the main star of this system. So there would have to be like more than 6 planets.
You might tell me that before, and I probably forgot. I'm just curious because I always say something 6, something 3. I'm curious. I was curious how that works. So.
Yeah, so I think the sun, we're in the Sol system, right? So we would be like Sol 3 if we didn't give them all different names.
Ah, okay.
I think. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's how that works.
All right.
So, yeah, McCoy and Kirk and Spock have been beamed down to the station, the Pergium mining station, to meet with Dr. Vandenberg.
My first thought is like, oh, no one from the Enterprise is going to die in this episode.
Yeah, if you're going with the main 3, then it's a pretty safe bet that they're going to be all right.
They're going to make it.
So they go down to meet with Dr. Vandenberg, and he's the administration head of the Janus 6 station. And Paul, I was wondering if you had caught this with me, but there have been 50 deaths, and there's a monster loose, and everybody's still at work. Like they still have to do their job.
Wow. Oh yeah, like fire alarms and don't have to. Oh, I get that.
Like, man, every time we have this kind of discussion at work, like we will watch the episode, and it has to do with that.
Do with that, like it matches real life right afterwards.
Yeah, all the time.
That is kind of funny.
People are getting fucking burnt to a crisp, and yeah, keep on working, guys. Like, we can't stop the line.
Yeah, fire alarm going, keep working.
He's like that guy.
Keep working.
He's like that guy spontaneously combusted. There's no monster down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smoke in the building is not a real fire. Keep working.
Yeah, they have to call his wife, like, oh man, sorry, your husband got burnt to a crisp today, but
Yeah.
can you let him know he's going to have to be in early tomorrow? So,
man.
so old Vanderberg explains that they opened a new mineral-rich section of the tunnel, and then that's when the attack started. And he explains that their machinery started corroding, and then they started finding burned bodies all over the place. So Kirk confirms with Spock that there's been no volcanic activity on the planet, and what the hell did I say his name was? Vanderberg? Yeah, Vanderberg explains that the deaths have been happening on higher and higher levels, with most recently it happened on a level that's only 3 levels below the one that they're on. So this is a pretty big tunnel system, because I think eventually they go to like level 23, which is like deep. Which is always a fucking poor idea. Like when you're digging into the planet, like every time, every sci-fi thing ever, they hit some chamber where there's something there.
Yeah, something that
They
doesn't
never
belong,
learn.
you didn't know exist anymore.
I actually read a whole book about that a couple years ago. I think it was called was it The Core? No, it wasn't The Core. What the fuck was that book? Actually, it's behind me on my shelf and I can't see it. But anyway, Earth Core. That's the one. Earth Core. Okay, nothing to do with anything. But so McCoy wants to go and examine the body of the guy that got burned, and they lead him away to go do that, while the chief processing engineer, Ed Appel, walks in and tells Kirk that he's seen the creature, and he says he only got a glimpse of it.
First of all, whoa. He walks in shining, though.
Yeah.
Shining in that pink suit. Oh, my. What were they thinking in the pink purple? Oh, my goodness. That does not look right. That was
He was
mean.
wearing a pink suit?
Look, yeah, he was wearing this pink purple suit. Yeah, it was disgusting. It was.
I didn't realize
bright
that.
And terrible. Are you kidding me? It lighted up the whole screen, man.
What an odd choice for mining work too. That thing's gonna get dirty as fuck.
Yeah, the leader with the whole yellow thing, I kind of gave him a pass. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit bright, but whatever. But then Pretty in Pink walks in, or Pretty in Purple at this point, and I'm like, wow, that's a very, very weird color.
Yeah.
But maybe back then they needed really strong colors to appear on screen. And now that it's remastered,
you're actually probably right about that.
Maybe the color is crazy right now. Maybe that's what it is. So I just say maybe that's what it is, but in all reality, it's really, really bright. The yellow and the pink is.
Yeah, or it could be a case of like how with Kirk's outfit, he's actually wearing green, but the studio lighting and the camera makes it appear the gold. So maybe it was one of those things. Like maybe it wasn't really that color, just the lighting and the camera.
Just lighting, yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Really old school show. So.
Yeah. So he says he got a glimpse of the monster, but that it's big and shaggy, and he says that he shot it with a phaser, but that didn't even manage to slow it down. And Spock just finds that fascinating. So
it's weird that they're calling it a monster instead of an alien, because they know aliens exist.
Yeah, but if it's from that planet, it's not an alien. They're the aliens there. They came there.
You see, that's one of my issues in this situation right here, is the fact that they came in there, came to her planet and found the creature. I thought the Federation thing was about life first. So once they got there and saw that creature, shouldn't they have been already like, oh, we have to leave their creatures in this planet?
Well, those guys aren't part of the Federation, though. They're miners.
Are they not part of the Federation?
No, I think they're just mining shit.
I think they're a colony.
The Federation
on
is a bunch of planets, though. You gotta remember, the Federation is a bunch of planets put together. This is one of the Federation planets under Federation protection. That's why the Enterprise is there in the first place. So they're definitely Federation. But the point is, part of the Federation is like you go to a planet and you realize there's life there. You don't go to kill the life that's there. You have to leave. It's their planet, not yours.
I don't think it is a Federation planet. I think it's literally a barren planet that they went to just start getting minerals. Like, because the Federation only gives a shit about planets with civilizations, and I don't think those people were born there. I think that they specifically went there for mining. Yeah,
but I think the Federation planet would be a Federation planet because they need the mining stuff from there, right? So it's still their planet. They still protect it and things like that. So it's part of their planet, part of their life.
Well, here's
the Federation trying to avoid like intelligent life that might not be as advanced as they are, but they don't avoid planets that have just so-called alien animals running around.
Yeah, I know I'm getting way too deep in it. I don't understand why.
No,
they
it's
would
one of
go.
those things that they haven't really clarified. But if we remember, like right now, the Enterprise is kind of just basically like space police. Like they either get ordered to go somewhere or they go if they're asked. Like somebody can ask them for help. And I feel like I thought that this was just like a company mining. Like the company found a planet with minerals and that they're just down there mining it. Like the planet doesn't actually belong to anyone. It's not part of any civilization there, and it's not part of any organization. I thought it was just a mining operation, just like kind of a strip mining thing.
But in fairness, though, the Federation probably helped them get those people there, though.
I took it as the Federation to put guys there because they knew that all the minerals are there, and they started sending them on a mission to collect minerals. And
unless private companies have starships.
4 Federation ships. Because why would you send a Federation ship to go there to save them people for no reason?
Because they're like space cops right now. Like this isn't even the first time this season they've done that.
Yeah, but the Federation, every time they come help somebody though, they got a reason behind it. Normally, they're doing it for a reason. This just seems random. I don't know. I'm curious why they went there. Did they get ordered or what?
They
The
specifically asked for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm getting too deep with it. I'm just curious
they don't explain
how the policy
too well
works.
about how stuff like this works. So
yeah, maybe later on there'll be another episode that like something like that happens and they'll explain it without explaining it. I'm just not sure.
They're just suddenly one day they're like, "Hey, remember when we went to that mining colony to help those guys? Well, here's exactly how and why we did that." Like they just sit down and break it down for us.
Something like that. It'll be something simple. Okay, that's the way their policy works. I'm just curious.
Yeah. So continuing on here, old Ed, Mr. Pink Suit, just starts talking down to Kirk and basically says that they are useless without their starship because they're underground. He's like, well, you can't get your starship in these tunnels. Well, maybe you should have dug a bigger fucking tunnel, huh? And
he's jealous.
That's how you treat the help?
Yeah. It's like I didn't realize, like at the moment I realized, the Starfleet are like the jockey guys. Like they're the badass
they're the cool dudes.
And all these guys that are nerds down here, like they can be like, oh man, at least you a starship, whatever. Like I'm working, it's better down here anyway.
Dude's
like,
just pissed because he doesn't get to travel the fucking galaxy. He's not stuck on a planet. He's stuck under a fucking planet, and he hates it.
Yeah. Yep. No women anywhere. Just a bunch of guys
there's
mining.
no women on the planet, so they're probably a little irritated.
Yeah.
Just a guy mining all the time. Nothing else.
Yeah, shitty Wi-Fi, so he can't even play Call of Duty down there online.
Oh my gosh, he that's it.
Yep.
And not to mention,
he's just mad.
all his crewmates are getting killed.
Yeah, there's that too. But while this is happening, Spock picks up like this big, just like ball-looking thing, and he asks Vanderberg what it is, and Vanderberg gets kind of pissed off and explains that it's a worthless silicon nodule, and he's like, "Hey, you're not here to check this fucking silicon thing out." He says that he wants a creature dead because he has a quota to meet. And that's where my note was about, like, don't stop the line, people dying, but keep that fucking quota.
And Kirk's like, we'll get you back down under those tunnels.
Safety first, except if it impacts production. Which really, like, the monster is, like, basically cremating these people, so... what do they get? The hard part's done. Like everything's taken care of. They're like, just keep going.
Vacuum them up, move on.
Yep.
Next.
Don't even do that. Sweep them up later on break. TPM the fuck out of those tunnels.
Work through your break to sweep them up. Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to come in on Saturday for TPM and sweep up your friends. So Ed and Vanderberg leave while McCoy walks back into the room, and he explains that the body appears to have been corroded instead of burned, and that the material that did it is strong enough to eat through basically anything. So Spock and Kirk, they decide to go over to check out some charts, marking the positions of where machinery's been sabotaged and stuff like that, and they agree that the creature would have to be moving very quickly through this area.
Once again, the creature is doing intelligent things. It's sabotaging things. It's sabotaging equipment, things like that. It's not even going for life first. Like they can't see that this creature is making intelligent decisions.
Right.
I don't understand that part of it.
Yeah.
Like it's an intelligent creature. It's even attacking intelligently. It's attacking the machinery first, not people. Then eventually it starts doing people.
Right. Kirk just he wants a report of life on the planet beneath the surface, and Spock says that there is nothing that they know of aside from the workers that would be there. And Spock's like, yeah, I kind of want to see what I can do to get this creature to reappear, like to come out again. And we go to somewhere else where there's a guy in a tunnel, and he hears that scraping noise again, and he just goes to investigate, which is like real fucking dumb. Like, people have been dying, but I should go check that
The
out.
better thing is buddy system.
At this point in the episode,
buddy
why aren't the
system,
guards
man.
paired up?
Yeah.
Yeah, but where's the buddy system?
Yeah, that way they don't lose two at a time. Eventually, they're going to have to start mandating.
Eventually.
There's only 4 of us left.
Oh my gosh. You gotta stop it, Brandon. I can't stop laughing. Hold on. Woo.
But yeah,
They don't get it.
he hears the scraping noise, and he gets killed by the creature as well. And the creature leaves behind a trail of corrosion that leads through a wall into the power reactor room. Kirk and the others are talking, and an alarm starts to go off, and then the lights flicker, and they run to the reactor room to find that there's a big hole burned in the wall. And they go into the room to find that the main circulating pump for the reactor is gone. So it didn't even destroy it. It just fucking stole it. Like, at this point, it's just committing petty theft.
Listen, once again, just take it with him. Another intelligent thing.
It's not even. It's a klepto. That's the issue. It doesn't want this stuff. It just wants the rush of stealing with, maybe getting caught.
With the side of murder.
Yeah, with a little bit of murder. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit. They got in its way. Or her way.
Well, I mean, honestly, it's only killed a few more people than Kirk has this season.
Well,
so.
Oh, that's messed up.
Like within 4, I think 4 more people that Kirk is responsible for getting killed. So, and that's only counts his crew. That's not even like enemies.
The enemies. We never counted enemies. I thought about that.
Shit, did we count like Gary Mitchell and shit?
We counted the.
Oh, I don't remember if we counted Gary Mitchell or not for one of his crew members.
My count could be off. So okay. I might have to go back and look at my notes.
I think we're close to 50
either,
for
so.
Kirk, though.
Yeah. Yes, we are.
After this episode, we're gonna start counting how many people they killed next season. Either next season.
Well, I have this season's count. I just I don't remember if I took into account like people like Gary Mitchell that were part of the crew and became bad and then, died. I'll check my notes. It's in there. So, so Spock notes the strong corrosive material that was left behind, and Vanderberg says that they don't have a replacement pump for this, and that the reactor is going to go not just critical, but super critical, which is like one step below super duper critical. And that if that happens, it could poison half the planet and basically kill their entire colony.
Okay, we know they wrote that wrong. It's 1960s. We give them a pass.
Yeah. So it might go super critical 3 where it grows like really long hair and loses its eyebrows.
Well, then you're just in trouble at that point.
I was gonna say, come on, it's a Dragon Ball Z joke. Anyway, we go to commercial. Thanks, Paul.
I was laughing, but I was muted.
Okay, thank
I
you.
muted myself. I don't.
No,
So,
the reference is great.
So on the Enterprise, Scotty is talking to Kirk via communicator, and he explains that he doesn't have parts to build that colony's reactor or help fix it because it's basically ancient. And he says he might be able to put something together that's going to hold it for a few days, but that's really the best he's going to be able to do. So Vanderberg just gets pissed off, and he wants his part back, and he wants the creature dead. So that's all he wants this whole time, is just he wants that thing to die. So a little bit later, Spock is explaining to Kirk and McCoy that the reactor part wasn't taken by accident. And Kirk wonders if the creature is trying to get rid of the people, and Spock is like, yeah, I think so, but I don't know why it's doing it. So he has no theory right now, which has been a common thing for him lately.
Yeah, he didn't want to say. He was still trying to figure things out. He didn't want to be premature with a theory.
Which is weird because, like, for the entire series up till now, he's just right away, but they just don't listen to him.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Kirk after that tell him to speculate?
Yeah, that comes a little bit later. Yep.
Yeah, that's later on.
So he wonders, Spock does anyway, he wonders if the creature is somehow based on silicon. And Bones says, no, that's not possible, but Kirk thinks that maybe it is possible, and that's why their phasers don't work against it. So they talk about the creature having some natural armor plating, which is why Phaser 1 is ineffective, and Spock explains that they have access to Phaser 2, and that he could just adjust it to be more effective against silicon. So I didn't know we had different levels of Phaser 1 and phaser, like
I
different levels of
I
phasers.
didn't know that either.
When you go to phaser 2, you get electricity around you.
Right, yeah. I was just thinking that I can't wait for Phaser 3 to come out because I hear it's got 4K and has Bluetooth, so that'll be real cool.
But by the way, but at this point right here, I was into the show. At this point, I was way into it because like all the dialogue, the going back and forth, and mixing all this information in there at the same time was real smart. So I was like way deep.
Yeah, this series is really good at setting up a good mystery in the first like 15 minutes of an episode.
Yep. And then you're in it, and then you just kind of follow along with it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't realize back in the 60s that they were talking about non-carbon life forms back then.
That's
like in the
that's the
scientific
cool thing
community.
about this show. Yeah, like that's really cool and smart about this show. Like it seems every time I think about that, they think about that now, and it seems possible. And now back then, it seemed even impossible of it possible. It's interesting.
Well, I mean, we're only like a few years off from landing on the moon at this point. You would think we would understand, our own bodies, hopefully, by that point, before we're sending them to other fucking, bodies in space.
Yeah.
I guess from thinking back then, though, like, to assume that life could be non-carbon based seems ahead of their time back then. I don't know. It just seems weird for them to have that, they were thinking of that stuff back then.
Well, I think that during that time, because the NASA was really huge and there was a lot of buzz around that and everything that they were doing, that I think that that's when a lot of sci-fi really started to come out as people's interest in space really kind of skyrocketed. I think that you got a lot of really good like sci-fi TV show and movies and comics and books and stuff around that time. So people really started exploring like the possibilities of other life forms and things that could be out there.
That's a fair point.
That was well put.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know if that's the case. That's what I would think. Obviously, I wasn't alive in the 60s, and I don't know really too much about it. So this shit all could be 1,000 years old to me, and I like this. I think this is the oldest series or anything that I've ever watched. Like I don't generally consume media from that time.
You know what? No, I watched some older than that before.
Yeah, like the
black and white
Stooges.
1930s or 40s movie, I think.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's weird.
You never watched like the Three Stooges?
I've seen like bits and pieces of that, but I don't care for any of it. The closest to the Three Stooges I've seen is in the movie Short Circuit, where Johnny Five messes with the programming of the other robots and makes them do a Three Stooges like stunt, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
remember that.
But anyway, back to old Star Trek. Bones argues that silicon-based life is impossible in an oxygen atmosphere, and Spock thinks that the creature can exist for maybe brief periods in the atmosphere before having to go back to its own environment. Which, if they're in its environment and it's not oxygen rich, how the fuck are they breathing? But that doesn't matter.
Well, wasn't that part of the core that was stolen? Like it was producing oxygen for them?
Oh shit! I think you're right. Yep. So I entirely missed that. I think you're right. Yeah. Anyway, Kirk tells Spock to have the security troops outfitted with modified Phaser 2 weapons, and Spock is just kind of focused on the silicon rock at this time. He doesn't really hear Kirk, and he's just thinking about how the miners opened the level containing thousands of those rocks just before the creature appeared. And I was like, fuck, they're probably eggs.
I didn't think they were eggs until Kirk, later on when Kirk walked in that room and there was a bunch of them. I'm like, oh, those are some weird looking bowling balls that are just laying around. Or at least when
they were
Spock was holding it.
I thought it was either eggs or like it's what the creature needs to survive, and it was like defending its basically like its air kind of thing, or food. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think once you realize they killed 50 people, then I kind of went to the extreme and thought they're eggs immediately.
Yeah. So Kirk asks, this is where Kirk asks Spock to speculate on what it means to have the creature showing up when they found that chamber, and he just decides he's not going to do it. He's like, no, I'm good. Kirk goes to the reactor room to check on Scotty, who says that his work he's finished up and it's going to hold for a little bit. But then Kirk gets a call from Spock and says, hey, can you come meet with the security team in Vanderberg's office where you just left like 2 minutes ago? Which, like, if you're waiting, okay, so if you are like, hey, send down a security team, and I need to talk to them when they get here. Why the fuck would you walk away knowing they're going to be beamed in there in an instant?
I don't think he beamed them. I think he walked in there.
No, they got beamed in down there.
Did they?
They didn't fucking.
Yeah, downstairs, son. You're right.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
It's just like, all right, I'm gonna go handle this other thing, and I guess I'll wait for them. Okay, so I guess like we kind of live now in a society of like instant gratification, and if something gets literally teleported to you, do you think having to wait 5 seconds for it is just too fucking much for him?
Yeah, maybe. I think the scene was really cool. How he was sitting there, like in general, as he was sitting there telling his security team what to do, and these guys seem competent. So I thought, okay, maybe this won't be another travesty.
Oh god,
the security team being terrible.
Yeah. So this is where he goes back to meet with the security team, gives them directions on how to search for the creature, and just like gives them the order to attack it on sight. And I was like, yeah, they're fucked. This is a security team, dude. They're fucked. They look competent, but they always look competent. They're fucked.
I'm just saying, this time he talked to him, let him know what was up. He gave him the rah-rah speech. I thought it was going to be hype.
I thought that when they found out they were going to get to use a modified phaser 2, they'd be like, cool, and like test it on each other and just all die.
Like, oh, you're not phaser proof.
Yeah, we got to see how this thing works. So, like, here, shoot me, and then I'll shoot you.
Oh, he's dead.
So Kirk directs Security Chief Jodo is his name. So we actually get a name of a security chief here. It's Jodo. And tells him and his team to go to the 23rd level where the silicon nodules were located. And Kirk tells Vanderberg that his people are to stay on the first level, and then he just kind of sends his team away, so they all disperse. We cut to a little bit later where the security team is searching through the tunnels, and Kirk and Spock are there, and Spock makes some tricorder adjustments to look for silicon life, and he finds a silicon-based life form some ways away. And then, of course, one of the security team members gets killed by the creature, so we are up to 47 dead on Kirk's watch.
Oh. Yeah, that's not his fault, though, this time.
Well, he saw it coming, and he didn't fire.
And you can hear the fucking thing coming from like a mile away.
Yeah. Before I forget, I want to clarify that I want to forget about how good this episode looks.
Oh, the caves looked amazing.
Like the canyons, the props, the ground, everything. It just looks really, really cool. And I thought, man, like to think all this is practical too, because they didn't have CGI back then. So you got to think how long it took, hours it took to make this show. Because all it is up there is blue construction paper or something like that. To look at it, you're like, wow. It's just how amazing it kind of looks,
Yeah, I had a note later when Kirk and Spock were going through some tunnels that it looks like they just had like big pipes and then lined them with like a blue tarp. But honestly, like it doesn't look bad. Like you said, the rest of the cave looks really good. So
yeah,
it actually looks like they upped their budget per episode.
Yeah, they probably did.
The last few episodes have looked a lot better compared to like the first 10 episodes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure they got a budget increase.
I don't know. I think they're just being smarter with what they're doing. I think they're being smarter and stretching their money out, because I feel like the show has been good quality props the whole time. I just think they're looking better and better. I think it's just they're learning how to make each planet feel like it's a different planet, no matter what, which is really cool.
Right. So yeah, security guy's dead. Kirk and Spock hear him scream, and they go run to where he was, and they find only a pile of ashes. And Kirk is visibly upset about having lost a member of his crew there. And Spock finds a newly made tunnel, and they talk about how the tunnel was made, like how he thinks that it secretes some stuff, and that like eats through the rock and pushes its way through the rock. But then suddenly, the creature comes up from behind them, and they shoot at it with their phasers, and so we finally get our first look at the creature. While we were talking about how great everything looks, this thing looks like a big fucking Pizza the Hut that's just, like, crawling around. Like, it's like a guy under a blanket just making noises.
Like a guy under a blanket, walking around doing weird stuff.
I believe this one is regarded as the worst-looking creature in this entire series, from what I saw.
I disagree. I liked it, and I'm not complaining about it, because everything was so amazing. I can forgive a disgusting, what I call it, a pile of puke monster. It was a pile of puke monster, and I'm okay with it.
My first thought when I saw, like, gotta call Godzilla to take care of this one.
Hey, it's fine. It's
It's a
crappy, but I
kaiju.
like it.
You have to be careful around those kaijus.
The old pizza monster.
Yeah, I was okay with it. But my issue was when he picked up the prop, though, after they shot a piece off, because you about to say he shot a piece of him off, when they picked it up, it didn't have any weight.
Yeah, just the old foam. Which, I mean, they make
Yeah,
it look
just
good, but you got to at least, I know it's going to be tough for them, but they have to sometimes act. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's one of the parts where they probably should have done some acting.
And it's also cool where they like the foam is like pumping in and out, like it looks almost like it's still breathing.
Right.
So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's this really weird, like it's supposed to be rock, I think, but it's also not.
Yeah, it's just the weight. I just think it's a weight thing. It just weighs nothing, and you could have just added a little weight to make it feel a little more heavy.
Yeah.
That's my only critique.
So, so they shoot the thing with their phasers, and then it retreats into a tunnel, and then they talk about how fast the creature moves, and then a few more members of the security team arrive, and Spock finds that piece that you were talking about, and he just kind of casually picks it up, like, oh, never mind the fact that this thing has a chemical on it that eats through solid fucking rock. I'm just going to pick this thing up with my bare hands. Like, there's no chance there's any of that stuff on this, right? So, he thinks that it's made of like a fibrous asbestos, he says, which would be a mineral and is not animal tissue. And he thinks that it's a silicon-based creature whose body excretes a powerful corrosive, and that enables it to quickly move through the solid rocks. So it's just basically like it's almost like a tremor, or like a it's a graboid that, well, instead of digging, it just melts everything, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was a really cool way, a creature way too.
Yeah,
a really cool creature design, like the whole way it works and everything like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's well thought out. I just thought the actual creature was cheesy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with Paul on this one. I was kind of glad to see an alien that doesn't look like your typical alien.
Yes, non-humanoid creature.
Yeah, so I was like, I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So they discuss how ineffective their weapons were, and Kirk notes that they did manage to wound the creature, and nothing is more dangerous than a wounded animal. And that's what I was thinking, like, oh, he's got the old, if it bleeds, we can kill it. But then I remember this thing doesn't bleed. It just leaves big fucking rocks around. So.
Yeah, that's really tough.
Also, on another note, did you notice throughout the whole episode there was no captain's log after the first one?
I did, yeah, which was really nice. Well, not nice, just different. The captain's logs are generally, like I think we've discussed, they're kind of like from the point of view of the end of the episode, and it was nice to kind of just get to see this one as it was happening.
Well, it makes you wonder, did he not report this to the Federation? Like, no, we're not going to report that there's a silicone monster on this planet.
Right. Well, yeah, they got to report everything, so yeah, no... I mean, maybe he just does them at the end.
I didn't notice it at all until you just brought it up.
Yeah, well, I notice it because I have to type it every time we go to a commercial and come back. I have to type it. And we come back to a captain's log where Kirk just explains the current situation, which every fucking time, like 4 times an episode.
I think Kirk just skipped this one. He's like, nope, I'm going to break Federation rules on this one.
Yeah, he'll just do them all later at another time. But we do come back from the commercial, and Kirk is telling security members to keep searching the area because not enough of them have died yet. And Spock says that he's only located one creature in a 100-mile radius, so there has to be only just one of them. And Kirk's like, well, that can't be right. There's got to be more than one, or it has a really long lifespan. And Kirk thinks that Spock thinks that it might be the last of its kind, and he says that killing it would be a crime against science. Which I don't know why he suddenly thought like it's the last one. Just because there's no more around doesn't mean there are no more anywhere.
Yeah, the planet is probably pretty big. They only scanned 100 miles, so there could be another one somewhere else on the planet.
Yeah, but maybe they scanned it before they put the mining thing there. They scanned the entire planet and never find anything. And this is the first time they heard of this creature, so maybe he just kind of assumed logically maybe there's only one of them.
Well, the reason that their scanners didn't find anything was because they were looking for carbon-based life forms, and this one's silicone-based. So he had to adjust the tricorder to even be able to find this one because they didn't find anything before that. So
maybe outside the 100 miles, it might be something else.
Yeah, maybe they have like really long migration and where they go and like mate and then just leave. Maybe they got to travel like 200 miles or 101 miles to find the next one.
Yeah,
that 101 will always get you
every time. So Kirk says that it's their mission to protect the colony and get the mine going again. So he's suddenly a supervisor. And he apologizes to Spock, saying that the creature has to die. And Spock agrees. I really thought he was going to argue this, but no, he's like, yeah, you're right, it's got to die, but I do feel bad for it. Well, he says he pities it. He doesn't feel bad for it because he doesn't feel. So they go to meet the security team in another tunnel, and Kirk tells them to try to concentrate their fire on the creature's head, saying that they hurt it last time, and if it can be hurt, then it can be killed. And Spock tells them where he last located the creature and tells them to try to surround it and possibly capture it. And Kirk is just like, what the fuck? That's not what we talked about, Spock. So he overrules them and tells them to just shoot the thing. And the security team disperses, and Kirk and Spock stay behind so Kirk can reprimand him for giving the order to attempt to capture it. He says he doesn't want to lose any more men, and he reassigns Spock to assisting Scotty. He's like, you know what? You're a liability. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he said, first of all,
that's
you
how
want
I
to try to
took it.
embarrass
Like,
me? You try to take charge in front of these people, in front of me? Trying to embarrass my authority? Nah.
Yeah.
Nah, you in trouble.
Yep.
I also felt like he was trying to get rid of Spock because, like, oh, Spock won't shoot if he sees the creature, so I'm gonna go make him hang out with Scotty.
Right. Which is a solid move.
Because Kirk tried to play it off like, oh, hey, we're two high-ranking officers, like we can't both get killed.
Yep. Yeah, because Spock's like, no, like I don't want to go hang out with Scotty. That guy fucking sucks. Which Spock is wrong. Scotty does not suck. He said,
well, Spock doesn't like the Scotty parties.
Yeah. He's like, I want to stay here with you, Daddy Kirk. And Kirk says no. He's like, get the fuck out of here, because we can't risk both of us dying and getting killed by this thing, because then who's going to command the ship? Like fucking Scotty? Yeah. But she was fine. And Spock says that the odds of both of them dying are 2,228.7 to 1. So Kirk is just kind of like, well, he's got me there.
He didn't do the Han Solo, never tell me the odds.
Yeah. But he says that those are some pretty good odds. And that as much as he hates to use the word, logically, with those kind of odds, Spock might as well stay. And he just asks him to stay out of trouble. Which is actually pretty funny because, like, Kirk, trying to do his captain thing and get this possible liability out of here. And then Spock comes at him with just this fucking logic and data that Kirk just cannot deny. So he changes his mind. He's like, all right, like, I guess since you made a good point, then you can stay. And he doesn't give that fucking I'm in charge and this is how it's going to be, even though you're right bullshit.
Yeah.
How did you take the scene? Did you take it as Kirk was actually trying to protect like the chain of command? Or do you think he was like, hey, Spock kind of went around my orders telling him to capture it alive, so I'm going to make him leave? Like, which one was it?
Oh, yeah, no, I figured, yeah, like what I said, like Spock's a liability because he wants to capture the thing, so he just wants to get him out of there. Like, he don't give a fuck about the chain of command. Like, they have enough people there that can run that ship if both of them die.
I think he probably just gave him a chance. I think he was a little upset by it, but just wanted to make it non-confrontational because they had that kind of relationship. So they talked to each other. Spock explained his issues. Said, okay, it's better off if you're here. Let's get it done. That's how it was.
Well, it's just weird because Kirk has never made a big deal about, both him and Spock being in danger at the same time.
Yeah, no, he invites him on dangerous shit all the time. He's like, hey, do you want to potentially go die with me in a little bit?
Spock's like, hell yeah, I do.
So Kirk gets a call from Scotty who says that his fix has broken down and that he can't refix it. So Kirk says that he wants everybody to be evacuated, but Vanderberg is, he overhears the call because he's over there hanging out with Scotty, and he refuses and says that he and some of his men are going to stay and fight with clubs if they have to. And I'm like, bro, the chemicals that this thing secretes eat through fucking solid rocks, and you're like, I'm going to go beat it with a club. Like, all right, why don't you punch the fucking thing while you're at it?
If you don't get on that starship, boy, I will smack you. Get your ass on that starship. What are you doing out here?
He's like, I'm going to put it in a fucking chokehold. Like, all right, dude.
I'll be pretty in pink to go up on a starship right now. I'm out, guys. See you later.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll be up there chilling out, eating some of that good food while you're down there messing with that creature. I'm good. I'm cool.
No, you can do an elbow drop on that creature.
Yeah, until his fucking elbow burns off.
Yeah, for real. I'm out.
Like, phasers don't work. Let's fucking get the clubs. Fuck it.
Like, this job ain't worth my life, okay? They about to give their life for this job. For some Pertermium, whatever the hell it is.
Listen, He
So I'm platinum.
he's the manager. That job is worth your life to him.
Oh yeah. No, thank you.
Not his life, but yours.
I will not. Beam me up, Scotty. Beam me up now.
Now, maybe the clubs will work. There was an episode of Futurama where they're on a robot planet and they're watching a movie like, oh, all our advanced technology couldn't stop this human, but a mere stick did.
Yeah. Yep. So Scotty goes on to explain that they have about 10 hours before the reactor goes supercritical, and I was like, fuck, another stupid time limit thing. But it doesn't come into play at all in here. The 10 hours is totally negligible and didn't come into play again, thank God. And Kirk tells Vanderberg and his crew to go to level 23, and then he just fucking hangs up on him, because that's what he does. He's like, you guys want to be stupid? Then like go straight to the danger then. Fuck it. I'm going to get you out of my way one way or another. So, later on, Kirk goes down to meet with Vanderberg and his men to give them their instructions, and then they disperse, and Spock lets Kirk know that they're being watched, presumably by the creature. He's like, I'm pretty sure someone's watching us.
Spock has the Force, if you didn't know that. Spock has the Force. He can sense a life
Yeah,
form.
or he just heard the thing scraping up to them from fucking 40 miles away. And then it just stops. He's like, I think
he's
it's
got
near.
the ears to hear it.
Yeah. So, Vandenberg and his men are searching through the tunnels as Spock and Kirk are doing the same thing, and then they get a tricorder reading, and Spock and Kirk decide to split up and search these two converging tunnels. And it's always a good idea to split up. So Kirk, they split up, they go through two different tunnels, and Kirk finds some of the silicon nodules, and he calls Spock to tell him about it. And Spock is telling him to be careful not to damage any of them because he wants to crack them open later and eat them for breakfast. But before he can explain that, their conversation is cut short when the creature causes just a bunch of rocks to fall, like basically a cave-in. And Kirk manages to avoid the big rocks and not get crushed, but he finds that part of his path is blocked off. So Spock is just like, hey, I can blast my way through with this phaser if you want, even though you have one of your own, and I guess it doesn't make sense for me to come save you. But Kirk's like, no, it's cool. The part of the place I was going to didn't get blocked, and we'll just, meet up where the tunnels meet anyway. So basically the entire fucking cave-in was pointless, and that scene made no sense. Because they decided everything's fine, no need to deviate.
Kurt was super calm about it. Yeah.
Everything's cool, no need to deviate, don't know why we shot this. Spock then starts moving through his tunnel, and then the creature burns through a wall near Kirk and just starts to go after him, and then we do the whole fade to black commercial thing. And we come back, and Kirk is having a standoff with the creature, and every time the creature starts to approach him, he pulls his phaser up and aims at it, and then the creature's like, whoa, bro, I don't want any of that shit, and just starts to back off. And then it tries to come forward again, and he's like, nope, still got the phaser. And the thing's like, oh shit, I thought maybe you got rid of it for a second. And
it's pretty goofy.
Yeah, so Kirk gets a call from Spock, and he says, hey, according to my readings, that creature is nearby. And Kirk's like, yeah, it's like 10 feet from me, but it's not really making any threatening moves aside from, every time it lunges at me. And Spock's like, all right, well then fucking smoke that fool. And then he just hangs up on Kirk. He's like, handle this shit, bro. So Kirk decides to just have a seat, because why the fuck not? And he's like, I'm going to talk to this thing. And the creature, he's like, hey, how you doing? How's your day? And the creature shows him its ass where it got shot with a phaser. He's like, well, my ass hurts. Like you guys shot basically one of my ass cheeks off earlier. And Spock approaches, and Kirk is like, all right, hold on. Maybe we're not going to shoot this thing because I'm trying to have a conversation with it. So he waves Spock.
Which, man, what a turn of events from 10 minutes earlier where they're like, kill it.
Yeah. This the whole episode, they've been like, let's go fuck this thing up. And then Kirk's like, wait, I'm actually having a really good conversation about this. It turns out we like all the same movies and music. And I think I might want this to come up on the ship, actually. It's just like their pet now.
Yeah.
So, so Spock goes over, and Kirk and him talk about how the creature seems to be waiting for something. And they talk about the silicon nodules, and Spock thinks that he has an answer to that, but he doesn't care to elaborate right now, which why even fucking say anything, because that's annoying as shit. And he talks about using the Vulcan mind meld technique on the creature, and they agree that, he should put his hand on this thing that can melt through anything that they've come against so far.
Yeah.
I mean, he did it earlier, so why not again?
Yeah. So the creature must be able to do that on command then, right?
I assume he secretes it out his skin. Be able to do that the acid stuff.
But just not all the time. It has control over that.
I'm guessing. Because Spock wouldn't have been able to touch him any other way. It didn't make any sense.
So Spock does approach the creature, and he puts his hand on the creature's, I don't know, I guess head. I don't know, the whole fucking thing's a head. And he starts yelling out in pain, and then he backs away. And he tells Kirk that the creature is in agony from waves and waves of pain where he shot its ass off. So the creature moves to the side and starts burning something into the rocks. And then it backs up, and on the floor, it reveals the words "No kill I" burn into the rock. And I was like, I'm fucking done. I can't. It's so bad. That part was so fucking bad. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've seen in this show so far.
Yeah, I liked it all.
I can't explain how fucking stupid I found this. It was so dumb.
Nope. They had to find a way to make it communicate.
No, it's so fucking dumb. And it just gets worse from here. It gets worse.
What other way did it help? What other way? Keep going.
So Kirk wonders if it's a plea for them not to kill it, or a promise that it won't kill them. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure it's the fucking first one.
The same
pretty
thing.
sure it's the first one there, genius.
Yeah.
No kill I. Does that mean that it's not going to kill us? Like, do you know what I means? You fucking moron.
It meant to put me.
Yeah, no kill me.
No kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Kirk's like, oh, does that no kill I? Well, that obviously it's talking about us because I am I, right? Like, Jesus Christ.
Leave my boy.
Spock's like, I am also I.
I am also.
Unless it's what the royal I, where it means we.
Yeah. So Spock thinks that it may have gained knowledge of them from the mind meld. So apparently that does not just go one way, which is dangerous as fuck. And he says that it's an extremely sophisticated and highly intelligent animal, and that it calls itself a Horta. So Kirk mentions that they need that reactor part back, and Spock doesn't think that the creature is going to return it willingly. So Kirk calls on old McCoy to bring his med kit to the 23rd level, and then just hangs up on him. He's like, hey, get your shit and get down here. And then just hang up. So Kirk wants Spock to try the mind meld thing again, and Spock's like, well, I got to touch it to proceed further. And he does. He just goes up there and he puts his hand on it, and Kirk keeps his phaser trained on the creature. And so Spock, he's doing the mind meld thing, and Kirk calls his security guy, Jodo, to see how they're doing. And he tells Jodo not to let Vanderberg or his men through the tunnel where they are, but to send McCoy in when he gets there. And then Spock starts freaking out, yelling about murder and thousands of devils, and he speaks about killing monsters and striking back, and then the altar of tomorrow. And I was like, oh my god, this is getting fucking bad. McCoy shows up, and Kirk tells him to look at the creature's wound and see what he can do about it. So McCoy goes back there and just starts fucking. No, I'm just kidding. That's messed up. It would have been more interesting than the rest of this episode. But Spock just, at this point, he's just going on about, because the creature's communicating through him. So he's talking about like the end of life, and then McCoy's like just starting his work, and McCoy, he's like, hey, I don't know what to do with this thing. It's made out of stone. He says, I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. And Kirk is like, I don't give a shit. Just heal the fucking thing.
You think you're a healer?
Yeah.
Do your
He's
job.
like, you're a healer. It's a body. You do your thing.
Figure it out.
Which is really fucking shitty. So Kirk tells Spock to tell the creature that they're trying to help, and he wants him to ask about the reactor mechanism, and the creature communicates through Spock, talking about going to the Chamber of Ages and saying to walk carefully in the vault of tomorrow. And he asks about he talks about having sorrow for the murdered children, and saying that the thing that they're looking for, being the reactor part, is there, either in the Chamber of Ages or the Vault of Tomorrow or the who's it's of what's it. I don't fucking know. And
man, for a minute I saw you started talking about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you have to like go to Mount Doom, and it's near there somewhere. But at this point I was just like, dude, I know where this is going. I just wanted to hurry the fuck up because I want this episode to be over, please. So Kirk, he leaves and he goes into a tunnel, and while he's outside, Vanderberg's men are arguing with the security force, and because they want to be allowed to go in and kill the creature. So Kirk finds a chamber that's filled with eggs that are pretty much all hatched, or some of them are hatched. So I guess they're broken. They're not hatched. And we go back to the creature, and McCoy is using his communicator to have something beamed down to him, while Spock talks about how it's time to sleep, saying that death is welcome. Which, if they could beam down the shit that McCoy wants, why didn't they just fucking beam him into the 23rd level? Kirk is like, tell McCoy to get down here, beam him to the first level, and make his ass walk. don't fucking put him all the way down here.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense.
Well, McCoy was already on the planet, so they would have had to beam him back
you're right.
up to beam him down.
You're right, but I wonder if that would be faster than him having to walk all 23 levels down.
I mean, I'm sure the Enterprise would have got him there a lot faster.
Yeah.
You ever got an elevator? You ever got something like that? They got a shaft built?
No shit. So Kirk comes back with a hatched egg or a broken egg, and he's got the reactor part, and he brings Spock out of his mind meld, like just kind of grabs him, shakes him a little bit. And Spock says that the eggs are about to hatch, and Kirk realizes that the miners must have broken into the hatchery and destroyed thousands of eggs, which, congratulations, I figured that out like 45 fucking minutes ago.
Yeah, they drug the ending part out.
Yeah. So Vanderberg's men, they pull a fast one on the security team, which is crazy because they're so highly skilled. And they're like, they basically give him the old, who's that behind you? And then when they turn around, every fucking guard turns around. And then they get the shit kicked out of them. So Vanderberg's people make their way to Kirk and his friends. It's just like, security failed their task? Like, no fucking way.
And shouldn't they all be arrested at this point?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, they're basically like they're Federation officers. So wouldn't that be like, hitting a cop?
Yeah, you think that'd be against the law.
Yeah. But the Vanderberg and his men, they do arrive at the creature, and Kirk is just basically like, look, if you shoot that thing, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, he said the first man that fires is dead.
Yeah.
He says dead. I was like, wow, it's like that, Kirk?
Yeah.
The first one that fires, he said it's dead. Like, oh, it's that deep.
He's gonna fucking kill every one of them. So he goes on to explain that the miners have been killing the creature's eggs. And Spock tells them that every 50,000 years, all of the Hortas die, and the eggs continue on, which is really shitty way for that species to continue. Like, that's, like, evolutionarily, that's fucking awful. Because what if something happens to that one?
At the same time, but at the same time, that's very, very, what a really cool idea. Like, in general, like, what a cool idea for a creature. So I never thought of that before. Like a whole creature going extinct for one reason, then them holding in and living again. I thought that's really, really cool idea for the show.
I just wonder. Okay, so this happens every 50,000 years, right? There's one that stays alive, and then it has like 1,000 kids, and they just start burrowing through. How the fuck is this planet's surface not collapsed? Because those tunnels, it's like the rock is regrowing under there.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe
the regrowing rocks. I mean, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing in this episode or in this series.
No, that's actually a good point, because they said there's no volcanic activity on there. That means there's no tectonic plates moving around either, which means the planet is essentially a dead planet.
Yeah. And they're just destabilizing the entire surface by digging tunnels underneath. But old Kirk explains that the creature was just defending herself and her children, and he hands the pump back to Vanderberg and suggests that they make an agreement with the Horta, thinking that the Horta could tunnel faster than they can, because it's the fastest tunneler they've ever seen, and they're comfortable after having seen it one time saying that it's the fastest one in the universe. And they think that it can tunnel and that they can just basically collect and process the materials, making their process 1,000 times more profitable. So Vanderberg's like, you know what? I think I can overlook the death of 50 of my men. And I think we can make that work because we got to get that money. Like, he just has his eyes are literally dollar signs right now.
Dude, oh God, that's my note I wrote down. About 50 guys died and they quit. They mentioned money. Like, nah, we good. Like, forget it.
All is forgiven.
We'll pay their families. We good.
Yeah.
Let's pay it. We good now.
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
But Spock's over here like, hey, I think this thing might actually die. And then McCoy says that he's a fucking miracle worker and that he saved the creature by having 100 pounds of thermoconcrete beamed down, which is mostly silicon, and he put it on the Horta's wound and basically made like a bandage for it. It's like he just slapped a concrete band-aid on it, and now he thinks he's God.
So he is a bricklayer.
Turns out, yes, he is actually. Kirk asks Spock to talk to the creature again and asks if it'll work with the humans. And Spock's like, all right, I'll go check it out. And he says that the Horta has a logical mind and that after a close association with humans, he finds that curiously refreshing. So we go to a little bit later on the Enterprise bridge, and they're getting ready to leave orbit, and Vandenberg calls to tell Kirk that the eggs have started hatching and that all of their men are just getting fucking murdered left and right because it went back on its deal, and now it's going to take all the money. But no, the eggs are hatching, and the Hortas are starting to tunnel. It's just fucking, wow, dude, he is a piece of shit. He puts them to work from birth. Like, no child labor laws or nothing.
But
as soon as they come out of the egg, he's like, get in that fucking tunnel.
I'm wondering if that's what they eat that. Like,
yeah,
whatever
maybe
the acid is.
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's what they eat.
They're like the rock biter from the Neverending Story, just fucking munching on rocks.
I'm assuming that's kind of what I thought about when I thought about the creatures.
Yeah, so apparently the new ones are just digging tunnels, and it's leading the crew to new Pergeum deposits, and they're finding some gold and platinum and other rare minerals. And Kirk is like, "Fuck yeah, I'm happy to hear that."
Money.
Yeah, he's like, don't forget, I get 40% or I'm coming back.
Yeah, don't forget.
Well, that's why he didn't tell the Federation about it.
Yeah, because he's got to get his cut.
Yeah, Captain Kirk the pirate.
He ain't paying no taxes on that.
Nope.
But Vandenberg says that the Horta aren't so bad once you get used to their appearance, and Spock says that the Horta said the same thing about humanoid appearances. And McCoy is like, oh yeah, well, how did it feel about your ears? And he says that Spock says that he got the impression that the Horta found them the most attractive human characteristic of all, and she wanted to nibble on them a little bit. Kirk is like, did she really like those ears? And Spock says that the Horta is a remarkably sensitive and intelligent creature with impeccable taste. And Kirk is like, well, Spock, sounds like you're becoming more and more human all the time. And Spock says, well, I don't see any reason to stand here and be insulted. And then he just fucking leaves. He's like, I'm out of here.
He's like, you motherfucker.
You don't have to put up with this shit. In the last episode when Kirk was trying to make Spock mad at him, apparently all they had to do was call him human or have human emotions, and that would have done it.
Yeah.
No, he wanted to talk shit about his entire family and his whole race. Kirk secretly hates him.
Yeah.
It's Kirk's mission to get Spock to behave more human because in Spock's eyes that would make him basically a failure of his race, and Kirk's like, yeah, like I want you to feel like shit. I want you to feel like you failed at life. That's his whole mission.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, Spock gets pissed and storms off, and then they go to Warp Factor 2 and they go on to their next adventure. And yeah, that was an episode. Dan, how do you feel about this episode?
Overall, I enjoyed the episode. It got a little silly towards the end of the episode, but I can overlook it. I was just happy to see a new type of concept being introduced to the show with a non-human, alien. So I overall enjoyed it. I didn't think it was too bad.
Paul, what about you?
I liked it. I thought it was a great episode, honestly. My issues were so small, I'm not really going to complain about them too much. I thought the ending was a little long-winded, so I'm not sure what they could have did to make it any better. So I guess they had to make a whole episode, so I'm not sure how they could have made it more interesting and make it interesting, because the last 15 minutes was super, super long.
Yeah.
It was weird. I don't know. It was all right. I mean, wasn't amazing, wasn't bad. It was all right. So, I wouldn't skip, if they play the episode again, I wouldn't skip it. I would still watch the whole episode because I think the first half hour is real good. Just the last 15 minutes kind of drags out. So
yeah, I really enjoyed the beginning. They set up a really good episode, and then boy, did they just fuck that up for me. It got goofy in a hurry. I didn't like the end of this one. You know what? I wish though that they would have set it up and then had it become like a psychological horror almost, like the first Alien movie of just this thing is just fucking attacking people and they're dying and they're just kind of desperate and don't know what the fuck to do about it.
See, that's what I thought they were going for at first but I thought about that time in movies though, they didn't do a lot of that real scary thing like that.
Yeah.
But they could have made it a really, really dark episode if they really wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, it started off really good. This series is really good about setting up episodes, but then they typically kind of mess them up in the end. Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. It was goofy as fuck at the end. It was really weird. It did not go the direction I thought it was going to. But if you guys don't have anything else, we are moving on to season 1, episode 26, Errand of Mercy. And Paul, what do you got for that?
Let's see. Kirk and Spock battle Klingons to free Organa.
Wow, so we get the introduction of Klingons and Princess Leia. Damn.
Ooh, it's gonna be a good episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested. The first Klingon, so
yeah,
I'm curious how it looks.
Yeah, I want to see that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So as always, Twitter at WWST_podcast, Gmail, WWSTpod@gmail.com. We're everywhere that you can find us, except down in those tunnels, because I don't want anything to do with those. And yeah, thanks everybody for sticking with us on this one. And we'll catch you next time.
Later.